Dan over here at Manga Storian. My name is Benny. You might know me as the Manga Storian, and I'm joined by my friend, guy who films all the videos, Dan T Anime.
Yep.
I've named you Dan
T Anime. That's what they call me.
You guys seemingly enjoyed our discussion about Solo Leveling episode 1, so we decided to turn this into a pseudo-regular podcast-y kind of thing. Today we're going to talk about Solo Leveling episodes 2 and 3. Did it fix? Did it get better? Are we happier with it? We're also going to talk about a show that I started that I enjoy and I made Dan watch called Metalic Rouge, which I really do love. But before we kick that off, I think we should, if we're going to turn this into a regular thing, Dan, we should kick off this episode in Where's Dan in One Piece?
I have an episode 683. So I'm only almost halfway through Dressrosa. Yes.
All right, so halfway through Dressrosa. Before this, I said we're going to film me talking about the Zoo arc, Z-U-O, which is the next arc after Dressrosa.
Okay.
And he said, I'm almost there.
In my head, I thought I was.
What's happening in your arc for Dressrosa? Where are you at the moment? You don't remember.
Well, because I've been watching Solo Leveling and Metalic Rouge, I would have to see what the screenshot it's got me left on. Because I've had a lot of reveals with Doflamingo. A lot.
I mean,
of
you can talk freely because on this channel, my manga review is past where you are still.
Oh, that's true.
So you're fine. If they're on this
That's
channel
true.
and you're giving them a heads up because you know what arc we're in and what we're doing. So if they are watching their own One Piece.
That's right. So basically, I'm at the point where it's like after the Coliseum and they're finally, like, everything's happening. Sabo showing up. That moment when he does it for the first time, I was like, yes, this is who you use because he has no integration to anything else in the story. He's basically the landfill from... Because he literally just shows up.
The replacement
and he's like,
brother. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I have not been here. I'm the same relationship to Luffy. I have the same power basically now. And I have not been involved in anything else to create any sort of confusion. It was the perfect way to do it because for a while there, I was legitimately thinking to myself, I don't know who in the crew has fire powers in some of the more recent stuff I've seen. Who gets the fruit? I was very happy with that.
Did you like the Lucy? Where he's like, I'm Lucy.
Yes. The fact of... Yes, there are so many things where it's like... the fact that he's stretching and he's like, oh no, I just moved it across the whole thing. No one's going to notice that. But then I think the best part is, though, that the fact that Sabo swaps in for him and no one picks it up right away. Like, they're legitimately like, that doesn't seem like the same person.
What do you think? I don't know where you are. Have they gone into Rebecca's backstory up to this point?
Yes. Oh my gosh. The backstory, the toys, the way that they knocked out the girl that was doing the toys. I actually loved that because I was like,
how is it portrayed in the anime? Because in the manga, I wasn't sure what Usopp did because it looked like his face just went like this and hit her.
Okay, so my understanding from what I saw was they're trying to get her to eat basically the Tabasco grape so that the heat causes her to pass out. So he eats. So she's like, oh my gosh, why have they been getting me to want to eat this? I'm going to put it in his mouth. So she does. And then he just becomes a flamethrower and literally just starts screaming, tilted back. This suit, like freaking tornado of fire is coming out of his mouth right next to her. And that catches her off guard, scares her, and she
because in the
out.
manga, in the panel showed him do that, and then like his eyes bulged out and his tongue bulged out, and that's what I saw, and I'm like, I don't know if he scared her or he knocked her out with his like eyeball bulging, but
no, it was basically he caught her off guard with the extreme reaction he had.
Okay. So they've explained the toys and all that stuff where you're at right now. I don't want to talk ahead of where you are.
Yes, they are all back to being normal. I'm just
so then you know about Kairos then if they're all back to normal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm like I'm within a couple episodes of him decapitating Doflamingo, but the reveal of, oh, wow, it wasn't him. Shocker. No one saw that coming. So I've been loving it, though. Like, I'm glad I'm getting back into it and watching it now and then.
Yeah,
so.
Dressrosa was definitely a pickup from the... I really wasn't a fan of Fishman Islands arc just because of the way they paced it and the way they did things. Felt weird. It just felt weird coming out of the time skip to go into that. But Dressrosa has been a lot better. And the Zoo arc's a great little filler arc. I'm enjoying it a lot. You'll enjoy that too.
Okay.
So, but okay, and that concludes our episode of Where's Dan in the One Piece Anime? All right, so let's take it off with talking about solo leveling. So I wrote some notes down for my opinions about what happened.
Okay,
so we are
I'll
now
let you talk first.
Okay, well, so we are now past episodes 1 and 2. 1 and 2 showed how he got his powers.
Not his powers. They show him dying and
agreeing to
becoming the solo leveler, basically.
Yeah, yes. Becoming the solo leveler. And then episode 3 is pretty much showing how it works. Like, okay, this is how he's going to level. Here's how the powers work and stuff like that. Only to leave it on another terrible cliffhanger. Because it's just, he's, like, they leave it on, like, is the goblin going to kill him? No.
The wolf, yeah.
Oh, the wolf. Yeah, the wolf is what was going at him. So far, the show, I still like the show. I feel like this show, I don't know if it's still a thing because I'm not in the anime community the way I used to be, but it used to be a rule that you had to watch the first 3 episodes of an anime. By the 3rd episode, you are hooked or you're not.
Has that been an official rule? I thought that was just our thing.
No, it was like an anime community thing. It was always the first 3 episodes. You give them 3 episodes to set up the show.
Which is fair because there's a lot of shows where like the first episode has almost nothing to do with the rest of the series.
Yeah. So it was always that rule was the one I remember when I used to be more talking anime and watching a lot of anime. And I feel like this, even with the 3 episodes, this doesn't leave you with enough information to be like, I'm excited for what's going to happen in solo leveling.
We've seen what should have been 2.
Huh?
I said we've seen what should have been just 2 episodes, but
right. I think we should have gotten past the instance dungeon, and then that would have been the great stopping point. Yeah. I feel like the issue for me, I'll go over the complaint in a minute, but the pacing of the episodes, it's matching the manga, but you can tell the studio recognized the problem with the pacing because it works as a webtoon where I can just keep going and there's nothing stopping me. So I'm mildly intrigued. Oh, and now I'm really intrigued. But they did it carbon copy into the show, and then they had to pepper in extra stuff. I really feel like the show needed to follow the high level hunters. Or the blonde lady, who I don't know who that is, but I know I've seen her on the cover, so I know she gets important. Followed one of them a little bit better than just giving us one scene of them being cool.
Interesting.
Because we also, tonally, we shifted from, I call it a reverse isekai, because everything came to him instead of him going there.
Which I will say right now, I feel like this is a different kind of thing, because this is very common in webtoons. The theory of towers appear, dungeons appear. Like, it's
didn't Tower of God blow up? So then a lot of people started making it's just like Sword Art Online did well. So now isekais are even bigger than they were before.
Yeah, there's enough of them that I'm curious if there is a specific term, but I would have to look it up. Sorry.
Of a tower coming to our word. But anyway,
yeah.
Another thing I think is weird about it is the first 2 episodes come across almost like a horror anime. So tonally, again, we're now paced weird. We have a tonal that makes it feel like a horror. Then you get into episode 3, and it's just basically explaining everything finally, like how it's going to work going forward. But now it's not really a horror, but it's not really an action, and it's not really an alternate universe fantasy. And it's put it in a weird... my biggest complaint is I feel like this show was made and paced as if you already know solo leveling. It doesn't feel to me like they're trying to get new people into the franchise. They're like, no. You're going to watch this because you know what solo leveling is.
Right.
So,
yeah,
solo leveling goes before Tower of God. I don't know, for the record, I don't know enough about the webtoons world to know what came first and what inspired what. I'm giving an example of, and it was a bad example because Tower of God came out second. But I was just giving an example. You always have one big thing that does that thing very well, and then you have all the clones that come out. So I apologize for anybody who's a Tower of God and Solo Leveling fan because I got them backwards. Okay.
There you go.
I've just seen Tower of God in a lot of spots. It's got like its own game. It's got a lot of stuff.
It's got a lot of stuff, that one. So I will agree. I'll agree and disagree because first off, I'm going to say this should have been 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. What we've gotten so far, I'm going to tell you right now what I would have done that I think would have made this a perfect 2-episode thing. Is the first episode needed to be extra long and needed to end on him dying. Yeah. That's how the first episode should have been. It should have been remove the high-level hunter stuff. That was pointless where they put it. They should have started off with, hey, this guy's weak. He's doing things that no one else wants him to be here. They're in the dungeon. Now they're in the second dungeon. Now he's died. Yeah. He is dead. They finished the first episode with, do you want to be a player? Click on yes. End credits. That's first episode. That would have been the best way to do that. And then the second episode,
even if we had to condense some of the scenes from the first part to get there,
yes,
I would have rather, instead of adding scenes, like adding the high-level hunters, adding the blonde girl, who she is, I would have rather them condensed down that to end on that moment, rather than stretch it out. Because if you take out those scenes, they're probably at like 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
When 2 episodes should be like 42 minutes. So I would have rather them removed a couple of scenes and just brought it down than do what they did, because that's causing the pacing issues.
Exactly. Plus, I feel like they should have repositioned it, because they showed those high-level hunters, but then in the raid they do in that first episode has nothing to do with that. Like, no one shows any sort of powers like that, so they should have saved the preview of that for the episode 3, where they start going, some heroes have a second awakening, and then do the flashbacks to the different heroes, so you can even go through the different levels and show these are the S ranks, they're way more powerful. And then it should have ended on him getting a level up screen. That should have been the end of episode 2, was him in that instance dungeon, kills a couple things, gets the pop-up of you have leveled up. That should have been the first 2 episodes, because frankly, the pacing has been very disappointing, because as a reader, and I'm sure you feel the same way, this story is amazing.
We're still at where I've read. Like,
exactly.
I mean, you got way ahead of me, but that's because when I got into it, we weren't even near where you're at now. Then you just kept reading it. So
and then I just could not stop. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like me with One Piece. I just kept going.
Exactly. And I feel like it's really frustrating as someone that really does enjoy it, because I don't want to suggest the show to people yet. Like, nothing has happened in it that makes me go, this is Solo Leveling. That story I love, this is it. You should watch it. Now, quick side note, because I will say, since we are in episode 3, Crunchyroll has come out with the first episode dubbed.
Are you going to rewatch it?
I might not rewatch it. I tuned in because I wanted to see who the voice actor was for the main character.
Okay.
And they chose the guy that does Mash from Mashal and Anos Voldigode from Misfit of Demon Academy, both of which I love. And I recognized the voice immediately. And the narrator they've got is the narrator from Full Metal Alchemist. When they go, like, I love it. They did a great job of the voice casting for dub. I will rewatch it as dub. I'll watch through as sub for this show, but I definitely will rewatch it in dub and kind of see maybe on a second watch through if the pacing feels better on a binge. Yeah. But so far, the pacing, they've kind of ruined it.
I feel like anybody who's never heard of Solo Leveling and is giving this a shot, I'm wondering if anybody has started watching it and is like already fallen off. Like, I know a lot of anime watchers are going to stick it out, especially with Solo Leveling. It does have like does have a prestige. It is well known. You know what I mean? Like, so it's easier to stick with that kind of a thing.
It had a lot of hype leading up to the release of this.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, I mean, I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen while I'm sitting here doing this, and I'm on episode 8, and it's taking me a minute because I got distracted by an 18-hour lost retrospective from a show I watched in 2005 on YouTube. But my complaint with it up to this point was that for like the first 5 episodes was it's kind of paced weirdly. It feels a little slow. I see a lot of potential, and everyone loves it, so I'm going to stick it out and see what it is.
Right.
But if I was watching this, by myself, I don't know if I would have stuck it out. It's because
fair.
everyone's telling me like, oh no, it's good, and I'm like, okay, it's okay right now. I'm not disliking it, but I do feel that by episode 4 or 5, I may have dropped it and gone to a different anime if I didn't know how good it gets.
I can definitely see that, and I feel like Solo Leveling is not the same because of the fact that from what I remember of Jujutsu Kaisen of the first couple episodes, they at least ended on good cliffhangers that kind of made you go, I kind of want to see what's happening. Whereas Solo Leveling, I feel like they've...
The first cliffhanger that really got me into it is when what's the main guy's name? I got distracted by that Lost thing, so now I can't remember his name.
When
he dies and the guy in his body takes over. That was the first interesting cliffhanger for me.
Oh, okay, yes, that's when...
and that was like 4 or 5. Like so,
right.
I said if I had dropped it like 3, I don't know if I would have stuck it out. You know,
that's fair. No, that's very fair.
Itadori.
Itadori,
yeah, Itadori. Okay,
it's Itadori. Yeah. I can't remember what his first name is, but
I had them all pulled up when we were going to talk about that show, and then we didn't. So I was good.
I mean, I'm down to talk about it.
I'm going to get the names right. And then I had it all pulled up, ready to talk about it, and we talked about other shows.
That's fair. If you do end up finishing it, because I have to finish season 2, because apparently Shibuya Incident is concluded in dub, so I need to go back and watch that.
Okay.
So if you catch up, we could always do a talk there.
Because I want to keep us moving. I don't want this to be an hour podcast. There's a reason I picked Metalic Rouge to be the counter to what we're watching that's currently out.
I can kind of tell.
And it's funny because for 2 reasons. One, Solo Leveling is more what Dan would enjoy, and I don't mind watching it. But I like robots and sci-fi when it comes to like I just finished The Witch of Mercury, the new Gundam series. Like this is the kind of thing I enjoy watching. But on top of that, Metalic Rouge is the exact opposite of Solo Leveling. So the basic concept is you have a android girl who can transform into the equivalent of like Kamen Rider level of like red armored, super awesome robot and just destroys things. And people are looking for her, and we don't fully know why yet, other than they want Rouge. They just don't know what they're doing with her. And Rouge is she's also working for people to counter. The point I'm making is they haven't really fully elaborated on the plot because they're so focused on showing you how cool it all is first. Episode 1 of Metalic Rouge wastes no time explaining the plot, setting anything up. It literally goes, this is Rouge. These are the androids. They're what are they called? Neons?
Neons.
Neons, that's it. These are the Neons. This is the basic concept of them. This is how they're treated in the world. Now she has to fight. And like that was it. And then episode 2 opens up with, these are the Neons. Here's the rules of the Neons, how they work, the androids and how they function. Okay. Now they're hunting Rouge again.
No, it is actually really cool, kind of the I'm going to say dichotomy of it, and that could be a very wrong word, but it's sticking in my head. Between Solo Leveling and Metalic Rouge is, and I think I said this to you, Solo Leveling is world building, and Metalic Rouge is world revealing, where there's something already there, everything's there, and they're just slowly revealing it. It reminds me very much of Full Metal Alchemist. Like how it just starts you immediately in this story. It's fully going. Like they're already using their powers, all of that. They're not explaining anything. They're just doing the bare minimum. That's kind of the vibe I got from Metalic Rouge.
And as it's going, we're finding out facts to make it more interesting.
Yeah. Like you start going through and you're like, oh, that one thing that kind of caught my interest, they're finally explaining it. So you're like, oh, that's why they did that. And you can kind of even think back on what happened. And you're like, oh, I can see why. Like it causes more thoughts. And I like that. It's also very much more of a novel style. It's much more of a movie style storytelling versus a TV show storytelling like Solo Leveling is. I don't know if you kind of feel that way too, of like the way the pacing works. Metalic Rouge feels like they could put it entirely together and it would feel like it was meant to be one giant thing
that way.
Whereas Solo Leveling, you're like, new episode. I
also think the Metalic Rouge is doing a great job of making the character stand out because the characters in Solo Leveling, while I've read and I know what happens with them and what's going to go on with it, I don't really feel attached to too much happening to them from an anime point of view.
Right.
But in Metalic Rouge, even though I don't know much about the characters, Naomi and Rouge are the main two. The personalities are really popping through. The writing overall is just really good and makes you feel about the characters. You get this very innocent kind of like, I don't know what's going on attitude from Rouge, while Naomi is kind of explaining things. It's an interesting way to watch two of these side by side. Just like with Solo Leveling, I know people are complaining about the animation. I don't find it to be a problem. But then I pop on Metalic Rouge and they're just like, zoom, zoom, and like everything's blowing up. And I'm like, okay. When you compare them side by side, it's more of a problem.
I still am standing by the hope of Solo Leveling. Once he gets higher level, the animation's going to pick up more. I'm really hoping that's kind of what they'll do.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But no, I fully agree. Metalic Rouge has been really, really good. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I have been enjoying it.
Right, because the robot people and robot girl thing is more like Benny's wheelhouse.
Yeah, like robots, the robots, more sci-fi stuff. I'm much more in the fantasy realm than I am sci-fi. But I am enjoying this quite a bit because it's almost like it feels kind of like a good middle ground of it's high tech, but the way some of it works feels kind of magic-y of like how it forms on them and stuff like that.
I love the I was thinking about watching it today, and they did like they fully showed her body as she did it for second episode. And I'm like, it's a magical girl transformation. She's literally, it's basically, what if a magical girl transformation turned into Kamen Rider? That's what this is.
it's what if Iron Man was a part of a magical girl transformation.
That's what this is. Like, that's all this is right now. I'm liking this. This is so good.
It's really good. I like also that it's kind of thought-provoking a little bit in the world building, because earlier I was talking to you about this, and I'm sure some of our audience members will feel the same, of the neons. Like it feels very much like there's some sort of dark history or dark origin to these neons.
Just the way that they're treated.
The way they're treated,
or
the way
we're going
they
the science
look.
fiction route of they were built to be servants, so nobody has ever seen them beyond that.
Like if we're going iRobot style.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because we haven't established how long. At least if we have, I've missed it. How long the neons have been around?
Yeah,
so,
all we learned was in this episode that they were around during the war,
which they've referenced already a couple of times. Like the war is important.
So, and that's why I think there's something
that
dark.
There was a war. That's all we've referenced. Like
exactly. That there was a war, they fought in it, and that's why I feel like, because I was saying to you, it feels like they might have been like prisoners that had like something inserted in them that's causing them to be like this. Or there's just a lot of possibilities, and I like the theory craft that comes along with this kind of show.
Yeah, watching a show like this, it's interesting, and so that's it. So we'll probably do another episode of this in a week or two. I don't know if we're gonna have it on a thing, but I'd like to add a third potential show, because and I want to see if we can kind of mix up 3 different styles. We're trying to find another one that's possibly dubbed versus sub, but we're not against sub. Just it's a lot more difficult for Dan and me with our ADD to watch a sub and actually pay attention to what's happening.
I only do it with Solo Leveling because I know the story.
Well, it's kind of what I've been doing. Like, I literally sat here and watched Solo Leveling, right, like properly here. But I definitely looked down at one point. I was like, hold on, wait, rewind that a little.
Right. I had to do that. Actually, I had to do that for Solo Leveling when they do the flashback of his first awakening, because he's like walking with something at a construction site, drops it, and he's like, I've got powers. I'm going to go get checked out. And honestly, I was watching and I'm like, I need to rewind. I have to have missed something. There's no way he was just there and just dropped to the bag and went, I'm going to go get checked. Like,
but either way, we're willing to watch something else. We did try looking up The Witch and the Beast, but I don't know. The initial reaction didn't look.
I mean, I guess watching. Already this is a 3-episode show since I'm giving you.
Your One Piece episodes, yeah. But all right, we'll figure out what we're going to do moving forward, guys. Either way, we'll keep you up to date on the anime that we are watching, like me with the Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm also getting back into JoJo. I got to watch JoJo Season 4. This is just going to literally turn into the Dan and Benny podcast of
It's just going to be us talking about anime, yeah.
I'm not against that, and if you guys like this as a weekly or every other week thing, let me know. As I've said in the One Piece videos, I'm trying to find where to take this channel next. so that we don't just die out when I'm done reading One Piece.
That's fair.
And you guys seemingly enjoyed this particular episode. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe right here at Mangastorian. I do have another One Piece episode dropping, I think this week. I'm going on a trip, so I'm trying to cram it in before then, but it should be coming out this week. And I've started my Berserk reread, and I've downloaded Black Clover. We're starting Black Clover. So,
Sweet.
all right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.